Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is Bryan CP Steele and I will be your nerd today. So today it marks yet again another day we are sequestered away in our homes due to virus weirdness and can't get out to do stuff and whatnot, but it does not mean that we have not been busy. Let's see. I've been doing a lot of writing, working on a Shadowrun novel, getting Warzone to a place where some of our playtest teams can hopefully start making use of the files and really coming together on them, which will be nice. Let's see, what else? Honestly, it's been just a lot of slugging away on that. I had a really good meeting with the Big Child management about some of their upcoming stuff that they're going to be having available for people. So if you've got a store that wants to carry their products, or if you're a distro out there that you're looking for it, hit me up, because now's going to be a real good time to get the pre-orders in on some very, very cool stuff that's coming down the pipe. Spycraft's coming along beautifully. It's been a pretty solid week. Last week, I mentioned that I was going to be running my I mentioned that I was going to be running my Spelljammer game, the Arcane Promise, the one that I record for the channel. But there was some complications to people who play in the game, couldn't make it, and generally speaking, with a game that's kind of this important to me, I want to make sure that everybody's there and able to play. So we went and postponed 2 weeks, so there won't be an episode of the Arcane Promise this week either. Basically, this weekend was just really bad for everybody involved. So we're going to try and get to play next weekend, which should be super fun, because it's also going to be coming right off of the heels of the first real Chaldea game, which I think I was saying that wrong in the last video. It's not Chaldea, it's Chaldea. The World of Chaldea is Peter Atkinson's movie, comic, role-playing world, baby. It's amazing. Well, last week we sat down and had our first session that was not really a session. It was more like making our characters all fit together in the same story, getting our characters actually made, because it's not a D&D game that we're playing, it's a Burning Wheel game. And Burning Wheel is very story-driven. So your character goes through life paths to become what you want it to be, and then you use what you've earned during those life paths to create the character as it is. So that was a lot of fun, but we didn't actually play. We did a few tests. This is how you roll the dice. This is how you do that sort of thing for that system. But we didn't actually get into the meat of things. So I just thought I'd let you know that we got it started. We got our characters made. It's a small game. There's only 3 players, but I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'll fill you in as things progress, but it is a very neat setting. Peter has done wonderful things with Chaldea, and we're getting to help him shape a specific piece, a specific portion of it. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I hope he takes a bunch of notes, and I hope that he uses that in the future. Maybe, who knows, our characters will end up in comics or something. But let's see, what else? The big thing, I guess, would be news. So I sign up for or talk to a lot of different companies as a professional, as hey, I like to, can I work with your stuff? Can I review your product? Is there anything that I can do as a freelancer to help you out? And sometimes it's for money, sometimes it's just because I like the product. And other times it's not, it's because I think that a particular relationship could bloom. And a few weeks ago, It's no secret, I love the guys at TurboDork. TurboDork is a paint making company. They make acrylic paints for models and whatnot. And I love them as a company. They make some really, really, really cool stuff, like color shifting paints and different styles of metallics that other people don't make. And it's really just a very niche company, and they do some really, really cool stuff. But ever since they even before they really got off the ground, I had been in contact with them, and I was like, hey, I love your stuff. I would love to be able to test new paints you have coming out, or just to show off your product. You let me know. And they have been amazing. While they are not technically a sponsor of the show, and I have to make sure, apparently on YouTube I have to tell people that, while they're not actually a sponsor of the show, they do send me a lot of free stuff from their paint lines to test out, either on the channel or on my models that I take into shows and contests and things like that. And a couple weeks ago, I don't know if it was an accident or if they were trying to do it, but they were creating a new color called Emerald Nightmare, which is a very deep, kind of shifts from one shade of green to another, but stays in that deep forest green, that very deep green. And they posted on their Facebook page that they had created another color that's very complementary. They call it Jade Idol, and it's a lighter green metallic that was gorgeous. And I made a comment on their Facebook page that that color is gorgeous, and let me know when it becomes available, because I think it would be perfect for one of for some of my Necron stuff. I have somewhere in the neighborhood of I don't know the new math well enough for the new system to sit down and record it, but I have somewhere in the neighborhood of between 10 and 15,000 points of painted Necrons. I used to have 20,000, but I think that points change. We got cheaper. I don't know. As the editions change, this stuff happens. But I have one model that I currently have been kind of waiting and putting off to go ahead and paint. And serendipity being as it is, Greg from TurboDork gets a hold of me and says, hey, if you want to try out these colors, this prototype color on your model, please do so. Tell us how it is. Show it off to the world, which is what I'm going to do now. Why am I showing everybody my hand sanitizer? Being safe. So he sent me not only a handful of Jade Idol bottles to work on with as kind of a tester, but also as a base to work with. He sent me some of the Emerald Nightmare too, which is awesome. Again, they are such a cool company, and if you have a chance to order anything from them, please do. I will definitely put their name and web address and stuff in the description of the video, because especially right now when all of everything's kind of up in the air with the economy and whatnot, backing up your friends' plays and the people who treat you right is really where it's at. So even if it's just you want to buy one color of their cool, like if there's one particular metallic, grab it. It does excellent stuff for like windshields and windows and cockpits, goggles, things like that. Please look them up, buy their stuff. It's fantastic, which is what kind of started to what today's episode is going to be. Is I decided I'm going to I'm going to do TurboDork a favor and give those new paints a shot. Get things squared away. And I don't know if anybody saw my Instagram, but I posted up a little preview of me getting that thing ready for painting, because it's a monster, and I didn't think you guys wanted me to sit there for 30 minutes, 40 minutes during a video watching me base coat something before we ever got to the paints that I'm actually supposed to be showing off. But something a couple days ago came out, And it really lit a fire under me to be like, all right, nope, this has got to be the week to do it, because it's a good time. It seems to be anyway a good time to be a Necron player. For the past couple years, Necron players have. I don't want. I'm not going to sit here and complain and moan and be like, oh, our army's terrible or anything like that. It's just we really haven't gotten anything new, other than this big Saraptak crawler thing. But that's a very limited piece of machinery that can be used only in certain games, and it's a lot of points, and it's not the kind of thing that you just be like, that's part of my staple army is to bring this giant monster with. But overall, we as Necron players, we've just kind of gotten used to the fact that our last codex gave us a couple new rules and some new command things to spend strategy points on and whatnot. But not anything like new model wise or new, nothing really leapt out as, oh man, I have to have this new thing. And for those of us that have been collecting the Necrons as long as I have, it was kind of a letdown, because we were hoping to get maybe our pariahs back, or possibly maybe seeing some new powers and new war gear within the individual units, and it just didn't really happen. Yeah, we got some new rules based off of which dynasty you want to play or whatnot, but it wasn't what we really was expecting, especially after it's been so long since we've been updated. But then last week, Warhammer TV put out, or WarhammerCommunity.com, put out an ad, put out a little clip, a little video, a little 2-minute long, commercial that shows this really cool Necron style like pictograph thing that floats across the screen, and it tells the story of the Silent King. For those people who've played Necrons, we know that the Silent King is basically our emperor, the guy who started all of everything, who stole the secrets from the gods. He's our Prometheus, who managed to put us in put our people in the living metal bodies. Basically, he's the progenitor of what the Necrons are today. But we also know that in the story, he left. He took off and went off to go sail his mystic barge between the stars in the void between space. Basically, going the slow way between galaxies, allowing him to see the mysteries of the universe, untap whatever. And he was gone. And in his absence, our armies have broken into various dynasties. Some of them squabble, some of them don't. Some of them back the Catan play. Some of them are happy to have them smushed into little genie bottles. Basically, with the lack of an emperor, we humanized. We became separate entities from one another. Well, this video talks about how it tells his story, and then at the very end it says, I'm paraphrasing, but in the very end it says something about how strange things will be, or something like that, upon his return. And then all it does is it shows the Necron symbol, and then it shows return May 23rd. So I'm hoping, now mind you, that's only like a week away at this point, that maybe that means I don't think we're going to get like a new codex or, brand new spanking set of rules or anything. But I do think that it means that we're probably going to get a new, fancy new, maybe an update. A few weeks ago, they showed one of our Necron special characters has a brand new model coming out. It's a big, scary thing with all these legs, and he's like sucking the essence out of a demon. I plan to get one, even though I don't field special characters very often. I plan to get one because it's a gorgeous model, and I want to do some hacking and slashing to it to make him different. Which maybe that'll be another hobby day at some point. But the idea that on the 23rd we might get a truly like epic Necron model that's not Forge World, that's not just a giant crawling machine or something like that, is very it whets the appetite as a gamer, and it gets me excited to be a Necron player again. You know, I haven't been excited to play 40k in a long time, but now between getting my Serap Tech worked on, this new stuff that's coming out around the corner, I'm very I'm excited to maybe get my models out and dust it off and put them on the board again. Because you know, there's so many things in the video that shows like the hieroglyphics of the Silent King. First off, it shows that he's enormous compared to all the other little people that are running around. That he's gigantic. And Games Workshop has been very good about lately having like these truly epic monstrous single figures that can dominate the battlefield as an awesome centerpiece. There's also a really cool shot of this giant dude sitting down in like a longboat style arc, which would be really cool to possibly, you know, if we didn't get him standing, to get him like riding in his own like void ship or whatever. But there's pictures of these big hulking like brutes with swords, that I hope that those are that maybe those are pariahs, that are the pariahs, because the pariahs always had very muscular looking bodies. Like they didn't look necessarily like they weren't bare skeleton robots. They had muscular plates and stuff on them. But it would be cool. Yeah, I mean, hell, at this point, anything would be cool. You know, somebody on one of the forums had said something about, you know, big Necron Ushtabi, you know, these like giant Egyptian soldier warrior dudes. I'm fine with any of them. I know that basically here in a week or so, I will have some new stuff headed my way. Hopefully, again, it could be all a cunning ruse, a red herring, if you will. But I doubt it. Warhammer, or Games Workshop and Warhammer TV have been really good about when they tease something, that, or especially if they take the time to record a video, to make new art, that it's probably something cool. And it's probably you know, a small book update for some of our rules, that has a bunch of these new things, and it's probably got the new special character guy who we saw his model a couple weeks ago. Yeah, so I'm really excited. I think that it'll be neat to be excited about my Necrons again. And so that's why, going hand in hand with the new TurboDork paints that they sent me, I wanted today to be happy to be a Necron player hobby day. It won't be that long. We're just going to basically test out a couple of these paints to show kind of what they look like on the model. Put a little love into this giant monster. Yeah, so it should be a lot of fun. Now, if you listened to my Instagram this morning, I did mention that there is a contest. And I am going to discuss the contest a little bit later in the video. So stay tuned, and we'll discuss the contest, and hopefully somebody who one of you awesome subscribers can win something cool. So without further ado, let's go over and see if I can't get the new camera rig up and running, and start getting some painted models. So see you in a few. Alright everybody, so you'll notice right off the bat that my normal picture-in-picture situation is not working. Well, the reason for that is twofold. I thought, so my son has been doing this work school home thing, and because of that, he has needed my extra webcam, the one that I use for the hobby rig normally the one that's facing me. and because of that, I sent that to his mother's house and ordered a new webcam to serve as my awesome, you know, the one for when I'm hobbying. And because it has not arrived yet, I tried to use my phone to do the picture-in-picture thing, but it did not cooperate. So sadly, I have to be a disembodied pair of hands and a voice where you guys get to look at my amazing monstrosity while for the next 35-40 minutes while we're doing some awesomeness. Oh, I am feeling a weak join here. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, no, I don't. No, I don't. That's just... Okay. I thought I did. So, basically, this monstrosity, this gigantic Forge World beast, is the Seraptech Super Heavy Construct. It is a tomb critter. So basically, for the Necrons, there's two different types of thing. There's the Necrons, which are just regular everyday dudes, and then there are the various like tomb creations, which are like the wraiths and the scarabs and the tomb spiders, and they fall into different categories, and they kind of play differently as far as like what some of them come back from the dead, some of them have special shields, some of them are really good in close combat. It's what you do when you have any kind of army. But this big monster, it is good in close combat. It's got these gigantic, awesome guns that put huge holes in things. But overall, looking at it, it looks like the self-aware version of a much smaller fella, the Triax Stalker, which is a little walker dude. This is the one from my army, and the regular paint scheme that I do is kind of this purple gold inlay over kind of a dark green. It's a little dusty. I need to clean it off a little bit, like a wet brush or something. But regardless, I kind of want to keep that same feel between the two, but I also don't want to overdo the metallic greens on this big monster either, because it is mostly, it's kind of like a hybrid between one of these and one of the wraiths, which if you give me a second, I'll grab one of my wraiths because they're right here. So my wraiths, oh god, they are so dusty. I need to grab a brush off some of this dust. These are terrible. Oh man, I'm doing this off camera so you guys don't look at me and mock me for not at least dusting my models. Jeez. Alright, so basically this is a Canaptic Wraith, and it is a construct that is basically a monster that just sort of phases in and out and grabs people and cuts them into pieces. It's an awesome critter. I love my wraiths. I field as many of them as I can in most armies because they are wicked awesome. But, so the way I look at it is that this big thing, the Seraptech Walker, when you look at how it's built and the legs on the thing and, the kind of carapace shell, and it's got those big old guns, I view it as kind of almost like a hybrid between these two. So it's going to have a lot of metal, but it's also going to have a lot more of the that kind of dense green living metal that the Triax Stalker has as well. So it'll have its own general paint scheme, but it will definitely fit in with the overall motif of the army. So, that being said, what I did after I assembled it, which I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, I can't believe you assembled a Forge World model that's got all those nooks and crannies, and you you assembled it completely before painting the individual bits and bobs and whatnot. Okay, for this, I'm going to say this once. I My Necrons are my army that I play. They are the army that I actually get out there, roll dice. If I feel like competing at a tournament level, which I rarely do, but if I do, my Necrons are who come out to play. What that means is that I definitely try and put as much awesomeness into the paint jobs that I can. I also I don't take a painstaking amount of time on each individual model to make them like contest worthy. I want them to look good on the battlefield. I want them to look good when someone picks it up and goes, man, that's cool. But I don't necessarily care as much if someone picks it up and goes, hey, there's a wire that's down here on the inside that you only got it half painted because your brush can only reach halfway. I'm okay with that. And I'm at home with that. And the fact that I've said that out loud, I'm sure someone's going to be like, you're insane. Why would a beautiful master monster model like this, why would you half-ass it? And I'm like, well, it's not really a half-ass if it looks good on the tabletop. That's, for A, if it looks good on the tabletop, I have done my job. And B, I'm sharing with you guys because I would rather have a well-painted, a good model on the... I saw a spot that I missed with the base coat. I would much rather have a attractive model fully painted than wait a year to have my contest level centerpiece model ready to be fielded and then never actually get a chance to play it. So, because I want to get this guy on the field, I want to get him out there, and especially now with the Silent King returning and possibly more models for me to assemble and put out there. This fella's gonna need some friends, to back him up, to back his play. And I want to make sure that he's out there, and I want to make sure that he's painted and gorgeous. So I went ahead and assembled him, primed him black, and then I went through and did a very, very heavy dry brush of a baseline acrylic silver that is very flat. It is very, very flat to the touch. There's a lot of streaking and things, but that's because for the most part that it's just a base coat. It's giving me something to have some of the other colors grab hold. Like I said, I have an idea of how I want to do this. There are definitely parts of it that I know I want to do in a particular fashion. But overall, I do believe that my legs and the main body, like carapace parts, are going to be that green of the Triarch Stalker. Whereas like the head, the spine, the internals, and the guns are going to be probably in that kind of different shades of metallics, which is where I'll start really flexing on the TurboDork stuff, which is why I'm probably going to do one of the guns. I think I might do one of the guns first, or do the guns first, even though they are external and I like to paint inside out, so that way covering things up and splashes and whatnot. But knowing that what I'm going to do to the leg joints and a lot of these large plates, they're going to end up being that dark green. I don't want to accidentally paint on the gun in a way that is going to end up being problematic for going back and redoing things. The whole point of this is to show off the cool Emerald Nightmare and the Jade Idol prototype paint. Again, thank you so much to TurboDork. So I assembled it. I turned it, primed it black, dry brushed the whole thing silver, because I think, especially for some of the colors that I'm using, having a silver base for the coat that goes over the top of it is going to be a little better maybe than a black base, that primer base. So this should hopefully be a good, a nice base to work off of when I start adding that dark green and then washes and things later on. So what you might have noticed a couple of times is this thing. So this is a Plexicard base that I found on eBay. 40K walkers like this are always problematic if they don't have a base. They just are. Because, am I touching you? Am I close enough to you? Am I within an inch to do close combat? Like that sort of thing. Where do I measure ranges from? It's a pain in the butt. So there are people out there that have the time and effort to basically make these bases that are fit specifically for the models. And so what I did is after I got them assembled and I knew where I wanted his legs to be, I figured out on this, I lined up basically where all the points touch for where those legs are going to need to eventually be epoxied. Now, when it comes to the base, I will. It's not going to be just a boring grass base. I'll build up some. I'll put some crystals on it. I'll probably put some broken stained glass, like broken Necron crystals, some dirt, some sand, some static grass. If I can get to the store to get some like longer tufts of static grass, I'll probably do that. Maybe a chunk of ruin that he's crawling over or something. The base will almost be a model in and of itself. But then on top of that, all of those little spots that I sharpied around, those will get just very basic. They will stay like this. I'll score them with a knife to make them nice and porous, and then I'm going to use some like vehicular auto weld to get this monster on this base once the base is done, and once he's done too, and then we'll get them put together. I'll use the kind of epoxy that is like thou shalt never ever break ever. And it will not only, because you can probably tell he's got a little wiggle to him because he's stable. He's definitely stable, but he's got a little bit of wiggle to him because he's just got those tiny points of contact. It'll be much easier when he's on his base to move him around the battlefield, to take him from place to place, to not worry about those limbs snapping off, requiring expensive Forge War replacements. So the goal here is to have a very cool base that he will eventually be epoxied to, and then the epoxy bubbles where those legs are kind of digging into the ground, I will then sand over to show like it's literally this multi-ton monstrosity is digging down into the dirt as it's walking, not only giving it a very cool thematic feel, but it'll make sure that it's got a good solid base to work off of, and it won't go moving about. All right, so this critter has got two of these guns. Look at those two things coming at you. Those put holes in teeth, to quote the cavity creeps. The way that I'm planning on painting this is looking at the underbelly here. It's got these kind of like these ribs. Oh, it'll be easier if I use a stick. It's got these like little ribs that connect to hold the framework the framework to the legs, to the body, to the gun, and that frame sort of wraps around that middle chunk. I'm going to use the same green that I'm going to use on the regular hull to do that part of the gun, and eventually the framework, those framework pieces there, because that's all going to connect that. But I'm going to do that first, because then the rest of this is going to be different shades of metallic, multiple different versions of metallic, a couple of different greens, but then also we will. Hang on a second. You gotta clean some of the base coat out from between the two things there. Bubbled up a little bit. But then basically it'll also give me a really good spot to use those TurboDork colors to make those guns pop. Because There are a lot of like shiny greens, and I do a lot of red highlights in places like on some of the orbs and stuff. But I think especially with this big monster, I think that a lot of the red I'm gonna save for like places that could be like an eyeball. Like it again, it's an alien creature, so it could have an eye under its chin, and then it's got the one up here, and it's got all these little tiny eyes to make it almost more insectoid. And it's got these kind of like side bubble connectors. When this is green, these red dots will pop out like nobody's business. Same thing like on the backs of the legs. All the same kind of things that I did with the Triarch Stalkers, except now on a much larger scale. But yeah, I'll probably do the greens like a neon green, or I might even break out the Stuart Simple glow in the dark pigments to do those three on each on the sides to kind of show the where the power is coming from. I don't know. Again, I could sit down and like sketch out exactly what I want each thing to do, but I have an idea in my mind, and that's what I'm going to go with. The kind of I know where I want this model to end up, if that makes any sense. And so it makes it very I don't want to say difficult, but it definitely makes it harder to... that is not the right green. I grabbed the wrong green. It's the most... I want it to fit in with the army, but I want it to be I want it to be unique and shocking and like, oh, and it sits out. But yeah, so let's talk about Necrons while I'm getting my stuff squared away here. I started Necrons originally. I started playing 40K way back at the end of the Rogue Trader, like the very first Rogue Trader book. I didn't play any Rogue Trader. I think maybe once or twice, but not enough to ever claim that it was like that's my go-to or anything like that, because it sure as heck wasn't. But I did. But it did attract me to wanting to play more and getting into more of the different armies. And when me and my buddies played at our friend Ian's house, it was definitely the when Necrons came out for the first time, or when the first time the Tyranids were more than just here's a handful of bugs from a board game, and they started getting their own things like Zotes, which apparently Zotes are back now, but they're not in 40K. They're in like Warcry or something, or the 40K skirmish game. I don't know. I haven't really looked, but I did notice that there were new Zote models out and around, and I think that that's fantastic because Zotes were amazing before, and the idea that they got an update is just I love it. I adore it, and I hope that maybe next time the Tyranids get an update for 40K, that maybe they'll see some Zote love. That'd be pretty cool. Or like Tyranid versions of the Zotes, like they've been all knitted out and covered in new symbiotic creatures or something. I don't know. Either way, it sounds like it would be fantastic. And the new model is super cool. I kind of want one, even if I don't play that game, just to be able to paint another Zote. It's been a long time since I painted a Zote. Where was I going with that? Oh, yeah, so I've been playing 40K a long time, and then there was just this like one White Dwarf magazine that had rules for the coming of the Necrons, And the initial Necrons were basically 4 models. 5 if you count Scarabs. There were Scarabs, which are the little floating frisbees of doom that have teeth and claws. Destroyers, which was initially almost like a land speeder. It was like a single. There was a single Necron warrior sitting in a chair, like hardwired to this land speeder looking thing, and that was the initial destroyer. There were lords, which haven't really changed all that much. They're Egyptian-themed robots with a staff and their hand in the air, and they helped bring your dudes back from the dead. Like that. There you go. That was pretty much it. That's how the Necrons were. And then there were 2 troop types. There were regular warriors, which is what we have now, guys with Gauss rifles that come back from the dead or refuse to die, depending on which version you're looking at. And then there was Immortals, bigger versions of warriors. That's it. There's tougher versions of warriors. There really wasn't anything different other than they had a slightly cooler gun, and they were a better shot. There you go. That was your Necron force, and it stayed that way for a really long time. It didn't really get any sort of, it was a mystery. Like narratively speaking, they didn't really tell us much about what makes the Necrons tick. What were they? What do they do? It was very much just here's this army and they're here. They show up, they kill a bunch of people, and then they warp out. And it was even before they had a monolith. It was before they had any vehicles. They were just, this was the army. They teleported in, and they do a bunch of damage. And they were initially very, very scary. Their guns were good. Their armor saves were insane. Their stats were solid. They never ran away. I mean, like, the Necrons had, like, they really did have the best of all worlds. But the difference was, or the cost of that is that you had nothing in your army. There was no vehicles. Your guns were good at killing vehicles, but you didn't really have any answer to the vehicle conundrum other than, your destroyers were land speeder-ish. But that's it. You didn't have, there was no, you didn't have a light transport or anything like that. And it was this was before the monolith. So you just basically had these troops marching across the field. They were kind of a boring fight. They'd march across the field. The Scarabs zoomed very quickly. They flew. And you'd get into combat and you'd shoot stuff up. It was very, very old school Terminator-esque, which is cool because that was definitely the kind of the motif behind the army, is this slow, never-ending advance. This phalanx of doom that just sort of walks towards you and shooting their guns. And then a new version of 40K came out, and Necrons didn't really get much of an update. It was like, okay, you guys are still really scary and really tough and whatnot, but not that exciting because you've been playing the same way for how many years? It wasn't until like 4th edition or 3rd edition, I don't remember which edition, gave us the first Necron Codex that had like legitimate, had vehicles. It had the monolith. It had actually, I think initially that's all we had is the monolith. But it had multiple it had wraiths. It had flayed ones. It started giving personality to the army, and in doing so,
gave us options to buy new stuff and expand our forces. And now there's this giant. The monolith was like one of the largest models of its time, definitely one of the most expensive point wise, and one of the it was nearly unkillable initially. And it was just a scary monstrosity that just drops in and slowly goes across the field, killing everything in its path, occasionally dropping off new dudes out of the front door. And that's where Necrons really kind of started to shine. Fast forward like another edition or two, and Necrons were really scary. Like when they added in not only new troop types, but new types of characters. And, instead of roles that make us come back from the dead, instead it's going to be, these are roles that will just shrug off the wound and show that you're, this super powerful beastie. It was really scary. And then 7th edition came around, and they updated our rules, and I think everyone can pretty well attest it was too good. There was too much going for us. We were winning most tournaments that we were in. There were entire threads on forums that were based on, hey, how do you beat X Necron army? If you go up against Necrons and they've got these two things, what do you do? I mean, and it got kind of crazy. So then this is, again, totally my opinion. I could be completely off base, but it really felt as though I'm shaking up this Emerald Nightmare for the first time. I would use my paint shaker, but it's really loud, and the video would sound like crap. So I really do believe that when they changed things back over to 8th edition, and they're like, all right, we need to do something about the Necrons. I think they may have swung the pendulum a little far in the other direction. Call me a complainer smurf, but I do think that the new edition did not do us really any favors. And sadly, in doing so, a lot of us that played kind of religiously before sort of stopped. Not stopped playing altogether, but maybe stopped playing in competitive circles, or maybe we didn't, quite go out of our way to travel to new big crazy events. That Emerald Nightmare is so cool looking. So do the body of the gun, like the main core, and like kind of this back power section in this Emerald Nightmare. Oh, that's cool. I like that color. Sorry, got a little distracted there. The new 8th Ed Codex gave us a little bit of a boost, but I am a firm believer, and I always have been, that if you're playing a game, you should be able to take the army that you want and still be competitive. It should not, you should, and I take this to my design fields, I take this to, I never want to look at a player and say, unless they're being silly, don't play that type of force, you have no chance to win. And I'm seeing a lot of threads in the various Necron, player groups and things where it's like the only way to win is by bringing these 3 types of troops and bringing as many of them as you possibly can. Like they're our saving graces, and I don't like that. It bothers me. It bothers me that is not only valid, but it's accepted. That it's just, people just go, yep, that's how it is, so welcome to Spamville. You know, like you just you are gonna you're gonna accept that that's how you play the game, and that annoys me. That annoys me from a perspective of a designer. It annoys me from the perspective of a gamer. You should never be shoehorned into having to do a particular thing with your force. You know, like it's just, I find it bad form. And currently, a lot of the tactics, and I use that term somewhat lightly, that I see on the Necron forums and things are, oh, this is the thing that's the coolest. Take 9 of these. If you don't take 9 of these, you're going to lose, or something along those lines. And I just don't like that. I think that's a really it's a sad state of affairs if that's the only way that your army can win, is by figuring out which is the coolest the coolest one of your models and take as many of them as you can. You know, what happened to awesome diversity? You know, what happened to playing scenarios that you can, that you might need fast attack choices instead of big old heavies, or or the opposite, heavies instead of all of the other I take as many troops as I can. I took 75 warriors. It's not to say that you can't have fun playing that style of force. You totally can. But what it does do is that it basically forces your hand into how you want to collect your forces. And for people like me that are all about, I love getting, I'm not going to say being a completionist, but I like having the options to do everything. I like being able to field 1 or 2 of every type of thing if I'm feeling froggy that day. Like, hey, I want to do an all close combat army. So I'm going to do all scarabs and flayed ones and wraiths, and my lord will be a close combat lord on a skiff, and like there's things that I might want to do, and it's really disheartening to go to a tournament and someone see that army and go, oh, so you're just here to play for fun? You're not here to win. And that bugs the snot out of me. And that was kind of what the Necrons have felt like to me and to other like-minded individuals for quite a while. There's only a couple of ways to play them competitively, or you're just there to get your head kicked in. And while I don't mind losing, I actually consider myself pretty good at it. I don't want to show up to an event specifically to lose. That's also not the, that's not what I'm like. Oh, hey, I can't wait to get my models and get them killed and put them away. That's the, I don't know, that's the part of me that says, hey, maybe design-wise you could use a little attention in a different direction. But I don't work for Games Workshop, even though I've tried in the past. And they do not subscribe to the same style of design that I do for Necrons, apparently. I mean, who knows? That's the way it is. Because if it was up to me, I would be like, 40K should be all about diverse armies, mixed forces. You want a little bit of everything. You don't want to just spam the heck out of one unit or one type of unit. You want to flex the ability to, if you've got multiple units of jump troops, that's awesome. But you probably want to at least take a little bit of foot soldier type guys, because you got to be able to hold those bunkers, and the jump troops just aren't going to do it, or whatever, like I'm just kind of throwing I'm just spitballing, but it is one of those things where when I'm sitting down and I'm making an army, I I prefer to make sure that my army is going to be fun for me, hopefully fun for my opponent. Uh, but overall, more than it being fun for my opponent, I want it to not be unfun for my opponent, if that makes any sense. Because I think there's a big difference between having a force that is super fun to play against and oh my god, that was great, and just having a force that maybe was tough, but at least they enjoyed the game still. I hate when I leave a tournament exhausted mentally. And it's not because, oh, I fought so hard while I was there. It's because there was so much drama and so much, was my build better than that guy's build? Should I have done things differently? Just, I want to go to these events. I want to have a good time. You know me, you've watched the channel. I'm all about people hopefully having fun. And if a tournament of playing a game is not fun because of multiple reasons, then it's a failure. Then the tournament has failed. It should be fun for the people involved. They should, win or lose, they should walk away with a day well spent playing fun games. That they were remembering the cool things that they were doing or are going to do, and hopefully will feel the same way later on. That's my mantra. And I think too many times people believe that if they don't crush their opponents Conan style and make them cry like children in the restroom between rounds, that they didn't do their job. All too often do I hear people talking about how they found the new build that is unbeatable. They found the new combo that, oh man, they're going to have to errata that. Then why use it? Why would you do that? Why would you rob other people of their fun just so you could win the day? I don't get it. I take what from this what you will, but I prefer to try and design games that don't do that. And if it's at all possible, I make sure that a game is as fair as it can be, and that every single model, there's a reason why you might want to take it. In the case of, back when I was designing Dark Age, there were some models that obviously you looked at and go, oof, I didn't take those very often. There's a reason for that. They were also probably pretty cheap when it came to, putting your army together. But in the grand scheme of things, they probably had a reason for existing within the microcosm of that particular force, that particular army or whatnot. That's my kind of my mentality goes is. I want people to want to have at least one of everything, and that's not just a marketing ploy. I mean, it helps, but it also is a way for us to see. If you've got 3 or 4 of the same force represented at a tournament, I want that force. I want them to all have different army builds. Not just the same build 4 times, if you can help it. I want them to be like, no, I took these guys because I dig the way they play. And then the next guy go, I take these guys because I dig the way they play. Or I really love this model. Or whatever. Whatever your reasoning might be. But that's where I go at. And again, trying to talk about not Necrons, is it's one of the reasons why I haven't really touched my Necrons in a while, is because A, there hasn't really been anything new for them, which means every time you see anything about the Necrons, it's all the same 4 or 5 models being discussed, or the 4 or 5 special characters being talked about. And that's just not my style. That's not me. That's not what I'm all about. Not what I'm rowdy about. All right. Let's see if there's any other stuff. Kind of want to do the front. Oh, no, Bryan. Stick your finger. You did stick your finger in it, you jerk. Let's fix that. But yeah, so now that you kind of have a thing, or a concept of where my brain goes when I'm talking about making armies, I'm hoping that maybe with this Silent King's return, that it gives us a couple new units that they're not used to, new stuff that people want to try, and that it's not just, every army now is always, everywhere you go, it's always going to, Silent King and his friends, Silent King and his friends. I'm hoping that that's not the case. That it's not just a universal, well, yeah, you're going to take the Silent King because dang. Just like I was talking about this thing, I'm not going to take this in every battle, because it's a lot of points. And it doesn't make any sense for me to, spend those points on him in every single battle. That'd be insane. It'd be crazy pants. And so I am hoping that the Silent King is very similar in the fact that it doesn't, that it's not going to be the kind of model that is a gimme, an automatic, I have to take this. I just looked at the clock. Man, I've been jawing on for a long time. All right, let's see. I want to do at least a couple of things in this Jade Idol before I let you guys go, because I want to show how cool this new prototype paint is. So let me get one of these mixed up real quick. And I think what I'm going to do, because although I am working on the guns, all that Emerald Nightmare is really still very sticky. So it's going to be a minute. On that, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do the Jade Idol on those power cables in the back and the power coil type things on this front part of the gun, and then in the spacers between. I think I'm going to do that right now because those are going to be different colors when I start adding in the copper and the bronzes and stuff. But I think that'll be a good contrast, and it'll show this cool jade color. But yeah, I'm excited. I haven't been jazzed about Necrons in a while, and I'm pumped. I think these guys are going to be super cool. Not just like this machine, but like just in general. I think that it's going to be a very cool. It's going to be a neat update because, and you know what? I'm totally just speculating. For all I know, it might be purely narrative that he's coming back, and oh my god, that is a pretty color. Look at that jade. Look at that jade. Oh man, that is just gorgeous. And as it dries, it gets more sparkly. Oh my gosh, it's so good. All right, so where was I going to use it? I was going to use it in the spacers, and the power coil. Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm going to do that base. I should get actually in the camera. That kind of cable here, because then I can go back later after I wash it and do the silver dots to show kind of the chain link that goes around it. That's going to be awesome. Oh, man. I'm excited not only just to use these TurboDork paints on the model that sort of, when as soon as I saw them, I was like, man, I wish I had those. And there it happened. Oh, that's just gorgeous. Look at that. Look at that. That is such a great color. Guys, TurboDork, if you have not, I know that I told you I'd write you an email and let you know how I felt about the Jade Idol, but man, that is sick. That's a good color. This, depending on what comes out with the whole Silent King thing, if I do get new pariahs and they've got special cool swords or something, you're gonna see a lot more Jade Idol on some of my new Necrons. Yes, for sure. This is just gorgeous. I love it. I love it. Man, yeah. Very cool. Very, very cool. But yeah, like I'm psyched. I haven't been excited about the Necrons in a long time, so I'm very, very excited that there's going to be new, hopefully new models. I mean, again, I can't imagine that they would put out a press release like that. Oh my God, Necron players everywhere would riot. If it was just a narrative release of, yep, Silent King's back, woohoo! Like, not even any new rules. Like, I was bummed out we didn't get any new models with the new codex, but if we didn't get any new rules with the new, with the Silent King reborn or return or whatever it is, oh my God, the internet would be caught on fire. It would be insane. So hopefully, here a little over a week, I mean, who knows? We might get something leaked before then, but I expect we won't actually see anything until until the 23rd. But yeah, let's just say that if we get nothing, or if it's completely lackluster, I can't imagine that will go over well with Necron players everywhere, especially not this one. We already are considered to be kind of the squeaky wheel, because it's been a while since we've gotten anything new, and we've been known to complain a little bit on forums and things. I can't imagine how ugly that would be if we get nothing. So, now, mind you, I also don't want it to be like, oh, we get everything twice. I don't want it to be like the coolest update ever. I just want to have some new stuff to play with. I want to play some games. That's what I do. All right, well, let me finish up this little spot there, knowing that I'm going to have to go back over this at some point to catch some of those other little gibbons, whatever. Oh man, what a great model! This is a great model. But yeah, so hopefully there will be, if all goes well, there will be a Necron Hobby Day Part 2 where we're going to be like maybe assembling the Silent King, and if I get my way, a bunch of pariahs and Ushabti and all kinds of other cool BA Necron goodness. Yeah, TurboDork. Like I said, I'll let you guys know that this is awesome, and I'll definitely show you a picture when this thing is completely done. But man, I am loving this Jada Idol. The coverage on it is good. It's going over that metal base coat real easy. It's very, very vibrant, very shiny. I think again, I don't know if it was a mistake when you guys made it. I didn't quite understand whether or not you guys were just toying around making new paint colors, or if it was an accident and you tried to recreate the accident. But whatever the case may be, Jade Idol needs to be in your needs to be in your catalog. And if you're a painter watching this, Jade Idol needs to be in your paint collection because dag, yo, super good. I am very, very happy with this particular color. Alright, I'm almost done with this color, and then I will have to call it quits for now because the video is getting a little long, but I will eventually come back and show you the final product after highlighting. And base coats are always, everyone watches videos and like, oh, okay, this guy doesn't do really anything that I don't do. You're right, we don't. Commission painters and pros and whatnot, we don't do anything different that you do. We just do things in different steps sometimes, and we might know some tricks that maybe make it pop in a different way. And every model, in my opinion, there is a point. There is a point where you get to the wow step. And when you get to the wow step, you'll know it. And I'm far from it. I still have a whole lot left to do on this monster. But it is... All right, let's give you back to me for a second. But, oh, geez. All right. And washed out. Oh, gee. Oh, man, blinding everybody. Ugh. All right, so that's it for now on the hobby rig. Sorry about the messed up camera action. Oh, God, I can't even figure out how to get that to work right. So I'll get the new camera set up for the next time, and it'll be much smoother and much better. But either way, we got to talk about some Necrons. We got to talk about some stuff. Got to show off some cool, neat things, some awesomeness. I'm going to see you over there here in just a second. All right. And I hit the little button like this. See ya.
Well, I hope you guys had as much fun as I did putting paint on my Seraptech and getting to see how the TurboDork paints, kind of work together. And we had a good time, telling stories and talking about Necrons and how far back they stretch, because they do. They go back a long ways. But so some of you are probably wondering, he said earlier that there was a contest. He said it on Instagram. He said it on his Twitter. He said it in the beginning of this video. Well, there is a contest. And what I want for the contest, for what this contest is first off, you've got to be a subscriber. So you've got to have hit that subscribe button. And if you are a subscriber, you have got to comment below on this video what you got two qualifying things. Two qualifying things to make for this contest. Number one, I need you to say what your favorite video from Tales from a Professional Nerd has been so far. Whether it's a hobby video, whether it's a particular, maybe even one of the Arcane Promises. Whatever you say what your favorite video is and why. That's your first thing. Number two is I would like you to, in the comment, give me a future topic. Something to base another one of these videos around. So it gives me some fuel to work with, but also I would like to, my whole goal here is to support you guys, to support the fans, to support the viewers, and to get people excited about gaming in general and being a freelance gamer or a freelancer in your own field. So that's what I want. So to win this contest, you have to be a subscriber. And then in your comment, you've got to put what your favorite video was and why, and a future topic that you would like me to center a video on. The winner of the this comment contest, not only are you going to get an awesome TurboDork sticker straight from the TurboDork people, but I'm going to give you a sample or a bottle of the Emerald Nightmare, and a as yet to be determined additional gift. Basically, I'm working on something with another company to see if I can't include another thing in this little care package for whoever wins. So as it is right now, you get a sticker and a bottle of paint just for subscribing and letting me know what I should talk about and what you've liked me talking about in the past. Either way, I've held your ear for too long. I've still got more painting to do, and there's so much to be done. Let's all just take a deep breath, enjoy ourselves, go out there, subscribe, share, like, you know how it is, and play some games. We'll see you guys next week.